Welcome back to the balance sheet, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I am Billy. This is my co-host,
Raj,
Raj.
aka King of Jar. How's it going, everybody?
We appreciate you guys coming back again as you continue to do. Remember to like and subscribe, really on any streaming platform that you are comfortable with. We appreciate all the continued support. Um, Kind of in a transition week. We've got Forbidden Door coming up. We've got some stuff getting set up for WWE as they move towards the Paris show. And then, frankly, we've got some stuff on WWE that is a little bit stagnant. So we're going to get into some of that. We've got a kind of a new segment that we really will appreciate continued interaction on, and kind of going through some top five stuff. We appreciate you guys voting on our first topic. And so today we will be talking our top five stip matches ever later on in the podcast. But there's only one place to start, and we don't like to be speculative, but we can't ignore this. Monday Night Raw coming up. It has been announced that we will be hearing from Naomi. What we do know is that she was supposed to wrestle IYO last week. She showed up expecting to wrestle last week, and something that we don't know occurred that she was pulled from that. They ended up running IYO and Roxanne, and kind of been quiet all week. She was on Stephanie McMahon's podcast. We didn't learn anything new there, and all we know now is on SmackDown, it was announced that she will be addressing the crowd to on Monday Night Raw. It's ominous. So I would like for you, my friend, to start there. Let me know what your thoughts are. I mean, you are probably, the best wrestling historian that I know for sure. And so, generally speaking, this is a pretty telltale sign of what's going down. So what do you think?
Yeah, so modern day WWE usually like they'll do like when Jade was gone for a long time, they did a theatrical angle to set up a story. She got pushed off of a car windshield, etc. They didn't even go down that path here. Now, obviously, Naomi is a heel, so somebody to take out a heel, that would almost mean you're introducing another heel. Um, but then they would have had to have said, well, she's medically not cleared because of this. They didn't even say that. They just said she's not medically cleared to wrestle. What's really telling about this, where I do think, and again, I don't want to speculate, is her closest friend on the current roster is Natty. Like her closest actual person on the roster is Natty. They've been through a lot together. They came up together, total divas. And she said, it's not my place to speak on it. I want to give Naomi the space. I just hope that, she gets better. Okay, that didn't give me a great feeling.
Yeah.
Because Natty didn't write that tweet like a character. She wrote it like a friend. Like she wrote it like I'm talking about Trinity. The other thing is Io never said, "Oh, Naomi is chicken. Why is she not trying to she's avoiding me." Like you notice Io never criticized Naomi. Whereas like in Dom and AJ, Dom is like almost making fun of the whole, hey, I'm not medically cleared, I'm not medically cleared, but it's like a part of the story.
Yeah.
Io is very serious, like didn't say anything about Naomi at all, just was like, what about my title match? Or what's next for me? Stephanie backstage when she saw Io said, well, you weren't the only one who was supposed to get a title match. So then Stephanie almost gave it away by saying, well, my match is off because, okay, so maybe she couldn't wrestle Io last week, but that doesn't mean she couldn't wrestle Stephanie because that match was 3 weeks away. So once they started to not say anything, I got more nervous because nothing leaked. no Mike Johnson, no Meltzer, no Sean Sapp. People are just like, nobody knows. And I think because they already did the stupid thing with Seth, that now they got to be very careful.
Yeah, if it's a work, that would be bad. I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. The wrestling business, any promotion has a lot of sleazy people in it. Just that's
Mhm.
how that's how stuff gets leaked to Mike Johnson and Sean Sapp, is that there are people backstage who just can't help but talk about things.
Mhm.
For this not to have leaked, even the sleazy people understand that whatever's going on is personal, and that is a little bit worrisome. All I could do is just put out, the best wishes for Naomi. There's a chance that it is news that she's out for a while, but it's good news.
Mhm.
I don't want to speculate that she's pregnant. We don't know.
Yeah,
um if it's between that and an injury, knowing that she has publicly stated that her and Jimmy would love to have children, I'm praying for that, because that would be a blessing. um, Again, only because she has stated she wants that. And if it's between that or some sort of other reason she can't wrestle, clearly I think we would all prefer that. Um, I would be, I'd be really disappointed in everyone involved, including, uh, Naomi, Trinity, if this is a work, because her fans are very worried about her. So
yeah.
this is not like a knee injury that happened on Saturday. It's not a work. It
No,
just can't be a work.
I don't think this is a work. I don't know what it is, but I will say this. For Naomi or Trinity, the human, all I really care about at this point is if that she's whatever it is, she's gonna end up being okay in the end. That whatever medical situation it is, that they get it fixed if it's something like that, and that she comes back better than ever because, timing of this sucks for her because she was, and maybe when we find out what it is, to your point, maybe it's a blessing. Maybe it doesn't matter how hot she is as a character because life is more important. But
Yeah,
like as a performer, she's never been better. Like
right.
she's like A plus in across the board. Like she was, I would make the case she was the highlight for me on Raw on a show that had Io, has Rhea, has Stephanie, has Roxanne, who, whatever list you come up with, these are four of the 10 best women in the world. And I thought Naomi was the shining star. Becky's on that show too, and she was the shining star with how she did her promos, her character, how over her proceed with caution was getting. I feel for her, the performer, man, because she's gone through hell. Like, I mean, look, she's Andy Dufresne crawling through the shit on the length of a football field to get to the other side because she walked out. She went to TNA. She reinvented herself. She came back. She wasn't really doing much when she came back, and then she got this character, and she caught lightning in a bottle. I feel for her. So let's play this forward. She comes out Monday night on Raw. This is a legitimate relinquish the title situation. This is Roman Reigns. This is Finn Balor. This is
Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch. Historically, individuals who have relinquished their title. She comes out. She gives the title. Shawn Michaels. She gives it to who's the GM? It's Adam Pearce.
Yeah.
And you are now head of creative in WWE Unreal in that huge conference room with individuals who look like they don't really watch wrestling, but they're booking the talent, except for Paul. How do you book the title? So it's
Well,
relinquished. What's your forward?
I say this fully tongue in cheek for anyone who's listening and can't see my facial expression, but as a 40-year-old white male, I fit in that room. Um, Unfortunately, that's the only thing that's in that room, and that's probably part of the problem. So, uh, I I would love to know who they planned on beating Naomi. I'd love to start from there. If I was in that room, I would know that, right? So if it were Stephanie, I'd say, okay, well, the end goal was to get the belt on Stephanie. And that doesn't mean it was at Paris. That just means it's, you know, the end goal. Um, I Stephanie's a face. Generally, for her reign to go as well as you want the crowd to feel like she like climbed for it,
Yeah.
earned it. So my outside the box thinking is that um I would have, I mean, Roxanne just pinned EO, and I think I messaged this in the group chat, you know, when we first started to be worried about Naomi relinquishing. I would have maybe a triple threat at Paris, EO, Stephanie, Roxanne. You'd get fireworks. It'd be a great match. I'd basically, you know, you got EO and Stephanie are two of the most over women on the roster. I would have Roxanne um underminedly or do, you know, some way get sneak out of there with that title basically.
Mhm.
And it is kind of, you know, we had that match at WrestleMania, but the face won, you know what I mean? And there wasn't really a heel in the match. And then that's kind of how Naomi won her match at SummerSlam. So you'd almost kind of like keep that story going by putting it on Roxanne. You keep the heel alignment. I would love it for several reasons. I think it would be great to signal to your audience that Roxanne truly is a player to be reckoned with for the long term. She is a heel. I know that I'm the first person to complain about Sasha Banks's first title reign being too short, but Sasha was a face. Roxanne's first title reign does not need to be a year, it doesn't need to be 6 months even. But you could have, when a heel drops the title, I think it makes the most sense to keep it on a heel because you're in danger of having the face get a title kind of from without momentum or without earning it. So I would go Roxanne. I would go Roxanne. Um, and whether that leads to EO or Stephanie or whatever, if you go right back to EO, it's almost like you're trying to chalkboard erase the last 6 months, and maybe that's what they do. But
You know, you talk about that room, 40-year-old white men, no women representation. You know, a lot of that stuff is for camera, but okay.
they
So
did fire their last woman writer like
I
last
actually
year,
do
though. Yeah,
like the Roxanne idea for multiple reasons and for different reasons too. Number one, I think when I just look at the WWE rosters, I was doing this last night, SmackDown Raw. Raw is way too heavy with stars. Like, Raw has, I don't know, like I said, we can talk about ranking some other time, but like, other than Bianca Belair and Tiffany, I guess, from the overness and that standpoint, all the big women stars are on Raw.
yep,
Becky Lynch, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Stephanie Vacour, Roxanne Perez, Liv Morgan, right? Because she's injured,
yep.
but Liv Morgan, Lyra,
Asuka.
Bailey, Asuka. What, like, this is ridiculous. Like, Raw has so much women talent, they could have their own division. Like,
Did they officially put Bailey on SmackDown, or did she just show up?
when was Bailey on SmackDown?
She was in. It
She
was the
did the
week.
dark match. She wasn't on
Okay,
TV. So
okay,
Charlotte and Alexa are on SmackDown. Okay, so they're
yeah,
SmackDown women. But my point though is once they gotta balance load this thing. Because to me, it's like if you give Roxanne the title, the first thing is, oh my God, what about Steph? Who's gonna challenge her? Is it gonna be Stephanie? Is it gonna be Io? Is it gonna be Rhea? Well, I gotta be honest, it shouldn't be any of them. Roxanne should win the title as a heel. And she should have really good matches with Stephanie and Io. But she should be at WrestleMania fighting Liv. Because Liv, if the reports are true that Liv is coming back the 2026 Royal Rumble, then it should be Liv winning the Royal Rumble. And now, whose side does Dom take? Who does the Judgment Day side with? Like, you have a story there.
yeah.
Io, in my opinion, Rhea, in my opinion, do not need titles. They're beyond the point of titles. But the problem is this company doesn't know how to book women without titles.
Isn't
Or
it almost the opposite now though? Because like Io, the only
well,
time
yeah,
this year
Io's
she
been
wasn't
yeah,
hot.
the whole show is built around her without the title, right? But like
Yeah,
going to WrestleMania, like if
right.
I know,
WrestleMania, yes.
okay, women don't need the titles to make the card, then I don't worry about it. I let Roxanne win the title. I let Roxanne beat Io. Asuka and Kyrie cost her. I let Roxanne beat Stephanie, and then I move Stephanie to SmackDown. And to me, I set up Roxanne and Liv because Liv has never really gotten her WrestleMania moment.
Right.
And I think Roxanne and Liv would have a killer match. I think they could set up a killer story. And if you're gonna do Io Rhea on a big stage, why not have finally Rhea beats her at WrestleMania? Like finally, Rhea gets to finally do the bugaboo and beat her at WrestleMania. You can figure out how Bianca fits in. I don't know, but like they have an embarrassment of riches on Raw, and this is the problem. But
Yeah.
your other point is that where Raw suffered is Io as champion because Io had no opponents because everybody else was a babyface. And
Right.
like, they had no heels. The reason Naomi was like a breath of fresh air on that show is because you had a clear-cut villain, both villains. You had Becky Lynch as the villain IC champ, people could chase her, and then you had Naomi as the top champ and people could chase her. The Ios, the Rias, the Stephanies need to chase something. Like I have a chat I'm part of, which is more of Joshi fandom, and they're like, "Oh, so you just don't want Io to be part of the title mix anymore?" I'm like, "Does she need to be? Like, hasn't Io kind of reached the point now as a star that she's a big deal without a title?"
Yeah.
Like, I listened to the Monday night match with Roxanne, and she was the most over person on the show.
No, it's a totally women's wrestling fans are way more protective of their favorites than men's wrestling fans, simply from the point of view is that historically, not having a title or being in the title mix means we are not going to see our favorites on the show, certainly not in meaningful matches.
Mm-mm.
And that's part of what we're trying to kind of change in this community. We broke some great ground last year with Jade and Naomi getting a non title match. Um, Rhea is on Raw whenever available, always in a story. So she's really breaking great ground. Um, Mid card titles are a new thing. Becky obviously is booked and busy. The US title, not so much. So you see the good side and the bad side on that title.
Women's
As
tag
a
belts
Mercedes fan on
finally,
the, huh?
finally getting prominence. The women's tag belts.
Correct.
Yeah.
In other places other than WWE, like I've had no issue with Mercedes being the TBS champion because she's on the pay-per-views. That's what I care about. That's what I think most fans care about. So I think the Joshi chat could be worried that EO fades away. I think you have a better beat on the pulse that Triple H loves EO, and she is maybe not on the same step as Rhea, but if we're talking about a staircase, she's literally the step just, and I don't mean a big step like a pyramid step. I mean like a staircase
But
step
but, yeah,
down right
but
there.
what's great about Io being on the step below is Io is still the Joker to Rhea's Batman.
100%.
So it doesn't really matter because Rhea has said beating Io is as important to her now as winning a title. So she has pretty much put it out there that me beating this person is as important as me getting my belt back. And that's why she
Yeah.
wanted to do both at the same time.
I'd love to throw two ideas at you real quick.
Okay.
Again, you know, Naomi is the only championship level effective heel in WWE right now that's operating at like a same level as the faces you just named, right? Am I missing someone?
You're gonna disagree with this. I know it. You don't think Seth is there as that?
No, no, women.
Oh, okay.
I mean Becky, but she's in a different title picture.
I think it's her and Becky for sure. And I don't know. Every week when I hear Tiffany cut a promo, I don't know if she's a heel or a face. So maybe she's working as a heel too. But no, I'm kidding. It's Naomi and it's Becky. But the thing about Naomi, go ahead. I'll tell you my
Yeah.
comp. Go ahead.
So you put the belt on Roxanne because she's talented. The only reason I'm not saying that she's on the level of Naomi and Becky is because they've had her in the tag belt thing, and she's not signified as a world beater heel like Naomi and Becky. They don't have a single one on SmackDown because they've just drilled Nia Jackson to the ground. I think Tiffany's beat her 48 times, soon to be 49. So they have four options, in my opinion. We talked about, okay, elevate Roxanne to title picture, get Becky out of the IC title and have her run rampant as a heel in the main title picture. And then the other two, I think you'll like. We talked about a couple weeks ago. Jade needs to be a heel. They need heels. Jade
Yeah,
needs to be a heel.
deal.
And I'm going to take a quick victory lap. They have made Blake Monroe feel smaller than she ever felt in AEW, and she is not made in NXT Impact like Julia and Stephanie McCourt did. The socials don't get hot like they did. Um, I'm not saying she's not doing good work. I'm saying she is fit in instead of standing out. Right? She's part of the roster. I don't think she was signed to be part of the roster, man. And I would pull the parachute and I get her up to main roster on Raw. They need a heel who can be shitty on the mic, and I mean that in a good way. Like they need someone like I would break. I, they don't even have her going after JC Jane, right? So are they on this? What's the plan? She's not in the three-way for the next title shot.
Hmm.
Her alignment doesn't fit with going after JC unless you're turning JC face. Like I just bring her up to main roster, man. She's main roster ready. She
I think
she she's wrestled classic pay-per-view matches. Get her on main roster. They need heels. They're way short. They're two or three short on heels.
and look, the perfect if I had a DeLorean and I would bring 2015 NXT Sasha Banks and drop her on this roster because it's the perfect wrestler for this, like for Rhea
Yeah,
Ripley, Io Sky, and Stephanie McCourt to be chasing 2015 Sasha Banks as a character. That would make a lot of money because you can't really lose in that cat. Like if your goal is okay, I want Rhea to be the shining star. Okay, first I go through Stephanie, then I go through Io, then I get to Rhea. Great. Okay, if you want to flip it, I want Stephanie to be the star. Start with Io, go to Rhea, then go to Steph. Like to me, that's the thing. You need a heel who's over enough where when that heel beats an Io, you can't get mad. You're like, no, but I see where they're going with this story.
it's Roxanne, then, isn't it? Isn't that the closest thing they got?
Roxanne, oh well, Naomi is it? But then if Naomi's out of the picture, it
Right.
has to be Roxanne. My thing with the okay, so I looked at NXT's ratings. Funny enough, NXT's ratings are going up. I don't know how because I find the product not to be as enjoyable as it was a year ago when Stephanie and Julia were kind of like the aura machines.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's going up because this TNA crossover has really worked. And now, hey, I might see the Hardys. They might show up on NXT, so I'm gonna watch it. I don't know. Is it because there's no sports on right now?
I think JC's been a good champion, the double
Yeah.
champion thing. I mean, so you know,
So to me, the Blake Monroe idea is a really, really good one. Or you could make it even easier. Just turn Tiffany heel. Like
yeah,
if you really and Tiffany said in an interview, I couldn't believe she said this. I think it was on the Logan Paul podcast. She goes, "Well, I'm the same Tiffany. They just cheer me now." It's like that's I
yeah.
don't know if that's good or bad. Like So you're basically saying you're the character, and whether they cheer you or boo, you're not going to change. I don't love that answer, but I think Roxanne is the answer here because she's as good as anybody in the ring. She's really good on the microphone, and she has a click. Like she has an attached group with her. Like she's not running solo. And I think having Raquel as a bodyguard to protect her title reign, like I think there's so much they could do because I love her and Raquel as a duo now. I'm a fan of them together. I don't want them broken up. Giving Roxanne the title, you can have a Finn Balor say, "Hey, Raquel, you got to protect her. She's the champ. She's the centerpiece." And that also ties into Liv Morgan. And that's where I'm going with this. Liv Morgan, I think, has to be the end game. And I think there's just too many talented women as baby faces. Asuka, okay, the other answer is Asuka as a heel. But
I think so Asuka's going heel for sure. The answer is, does
yeah,
Kyrie dark side and go with her, because the last segment she's kind of like stuck in the middle, right?
I don't love the Becky answer, not because Becky couldn't do it, because Becky's great. I just like what Becky's doing with the IC title. She's made it
Agree.
important. So,
Yeah.
you know, to
You
me,
need a couple though, because SmackDown's light on heels too. That's what I'm saying. It's both shows.
I think both shows are light on heels, and they're really light on good heels. Like the her service are heels, but they're comedy heels.
Right.
They have no juice. They're gonna lose every week. On Raw, Ivy Nile is a heel. She loses every week.
So this is interesting because as I think through the dynamics, and it's funny because we got that Unreal and they're back there and they're thinking through what they should be doing. The product is so hot that people who are great at their job are getting cheered, and it's actually hard to maintain a heel dynamic, right? Becky is doing a great job, but she's wavered from some weeks she gets cheered like she's the Becky Lynch 2018 the man, and some weeks the crowd goes, "Oh, I am supposed to boo her and I will do so." Um Seth gets cheered too much for my liking for the way, because they
I
love the
agree.
song.
I think Seth and Braun are too cool.
Yeah. So I say it all the time. I like a heel that's committed to getting booed. Naomi was doing a perfect job. When they cheer her, she's like, "No, no, no. You weren't with me when I was glowing. Get back on the other side." Like that's, she's committed. Um
I I just talked
and
about it, right? 2015 Sasha Banks. She got cheered
yeah.
more than anybody.
Yeah, not in NXT, well, yeah, yes and no, yes. So you could have like in a different environment, you could have a slight alignment change, and Stephanie McCour could be a heel and just destroy everyone and go on a great run. It won't work in the current environment because she'll just get cheered.
Mhm.
So they need to pick a person or two that they see big things for, that's not quite fully over with the crowd yet. Um, and it has to be aspirational. I think Jade needs to go heel. The crowd is not going to cheer her just because she goes heel. Now, if she does a great job for 3 months, they may start cheering her, but at least you'll have 3 months of her pissing people off, which will help the product. Roxanne is over, but she's not so over that she's going to get cheered over EO. So like I think Roxanne's perfect.
Roxanne is the good because like I thought about the 2015 Sasha Banks run and even go back to even when she won the title. 2015 Horsewomen Four Way. She won the title. She was getting cheered. She almost broke down and then had to pretend like she was a heel. Like she realized like wait, why are they're cheering me? I'll never forget. It's actually, we talk about her. Alexa Bliss said they asked her, "When did you know you needed to change your character?" And she goes, "I wrestled Sasha Banks in my hometown in a gym in a gymnasium. I had my prom in and my graduation, and they booed me and they cheered her, and she was the complete heel." I was like, "Okay, this isn't working. Like
Right.
they're booing
Yeah.
me. It's and like my family's in the crowd and they're booing me. Like." this isn't working. They announced I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I got booed. So, but 2015 Sasha Banks was such a great, like, she was so amazing as an in-ring performer. She had the aura, she had the red hair. She was hitting on all cylinders that even in the Barclays Center, and I know people who were in the Barclays Center, they said it was a 50-50 split. It was a 50-50 split
If
until
you
the last like 3 minutes, and then people really got behind Bailey. But they were like, even though they all cheered Bailey winning, it was still a split crowd. It wasn't
well,
like
the Izzy spot occurred because she needed that crowd to boo her on the
okay,
rematch,
that's
and they didn't.
that's Iron Woman match.
That's what I mean. No, that's what I'm
Okay,
saying is she got so much love from
yeah,
Brooklyn. It was a love fest, and then she's like, I got to do something that's gonna change this crowd. I mean, everything we're talking through has me thinking that Triple H is sitting there wishing that the CEO was on his roster because she would fit perfectly with this roster as well.
I think so. Yeah,
I think Mercedes and Trinity, and this is no surprise, I think they are two of the most motivated women in all of wrestling, not just to be successful, but to come at you with a character point of view and an alignment that matters. And Trinity, again, Naomi is doing some of the best work of her career, and they need someone else to step up and be that, because they don't say what you want about AEW. You don't watch an AEW show and think that Mercedes is trying too hard to be over with the crowd. Some crowds cheer her, some don't, but she is consistently, a heel and committed to that. And Naomi was going old school on everyone, and it would have been easy for her to be like, "They love me. I worked so hard for this," and lean into it. Nope, she's like, "I'm a heel. I'm gonna
it
I'm gonna
was.
get y'all to boo me."
It's a huge look. We want the best for her health. She's a phenomenal person, and from everything I've read, she's a better human being. I um I think it's a huge void. I think they're gonna there this is when Naomi won the title from Io and Rhea, immediately it clicked like this is what this roster needs is a heel.
Yeah,
And when you have as hot as baby faces as Io and Rhea are, you gotta have that villain. And the Rhea Batman Io Joker thing is cool, but like we've gotten that for the whole near damn year, right? They have been
yeah.
feuding pretty much for the whole year, feuding friends, feuding friends. No, I think it's gonna be a huge void. Speaking of voids. Let's talk about SmackDown, and we don't have to spend that much time because clearly the people who write SmackDown they didn't spend that much time in booking the women's division. So SmackDown is completely different than Raw. The two most over women, well, okay, the three most over women are all baby faces. So it's Tiffany, it's Charlotte, it's Alexa. They're the three champs. The problem is while Tiffany is over, and there's nothing wrong with being over, her opponents have not changed because I feel she beat Nia Jax January 1st for the title.
Yep,
We are August 17th. That is 9 months. And she has off and on feuded with Nia every other month for 9 months.
yep.
Jade, she has already beat clean as a sheet in 7 minutes. And unless Jade is going to join Kiana James, I don't see what the point of them feuding again is. Unless you're going to give Jade a real heel turn with a manager, she wins the title, she squashes Tiffany, and you now start Jade off as the heel champion and people go after her. Fine. Great. You're saving her for Bianca. Wonderful. But
Uh,
Tiffany as a champ is very stale at this point. It really is.
very.
And I am not, again, of the two of us, I am certainly the Tiffany fan. And I have always been a Tiffany fan. But this is getting to the point of I want to almost change the channel because it's like It's all backstage promos, which that alone tells me they're hiding her for whatever reason. Number
They
two,
probably don't trust her since the Charlotte thing.
well, she had an in-ring promo where she called Charlotte and Alexa vintage. Um,
Right.
the other thing is Nia Jax is a great heel. She plays the part very, very well, but she's been beaten so many times I can't take her seriously anymore.
That's the issue with Nia, yeah.
Jade has
Um,
to get a fully flushed out new character, but even after those two, who is Tiffany's next opponent? Like when I look at that roster, who is it?
so Nia has turned into the Big Show.
Yeah.
Um, and they made the same mistake with the Big Show. And I'm not being cheeky or anything like that. I'm just, the booking is similar. They're the biggest person on the roster, and they're used to make the current champion look good. But if you wanted to keep Nia as good of a heel as she's capable of being, she's the type of champion that should lose once, maybe twice, and then you have her get away, beat people when she's on TV, and she is a championship match waiting to happen. But they've had Tiffany truly beat her. This will be six. I think it's 5 or 6 times. So it's way too much. I would. It's the coldest product. It's probably the coldest product in wrestling. I think it's the worst show in wrestling. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I definitely Dynamite and Raw are better. NXT not as good as it was last year, but it's more watchable. And
No, I think NXT is definitely better.
and then Collision's been really good. They've had Toni on Collision a lot lately. Um, Athena and Toni ran a good like it's the worst produced show in wrestling.
Here's the funny
And
thing. They cut the hour out of SmackDown. It used to be 3 hours to two. It's gotten,
it's worse.
yeah.
It's like they cut the good part out. Um, so I would, given the pen, I would have Jade get with Kiana. I would have Kiana. I'd have a backstage segment on the beginning of SmackDown, and I'd have Kiana and Jade and Kiana saying to Jade, "You just made the best decision of your career, and I'm going to prove it to you. Uh, I'll catch up with you in 5 or 10 minutes." Nick Aldis's office, literally, and then main event tonight: Jade versus Tiffany rematch. Tiffany in the back going to Nick Aldis, like, "What the hell? I didn't, I'm not, I'm defending my title tonight. Where the hell did this come from?" And I'd have Jade beat her, and you would immediately microwave whatever's going on with Jade, but ultimately it would make it look like Kiana has real pull.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they've done that for a woman's manager in a long time. I mean, that's Paul Heyman shit. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that would freshen up things for Jade. Again, I'm of the mindset that based on what they're paying Jade and what they brought her directly to main roster, they intend for her to be champion one day. And I really believe that a cold Tiffany ready to end title reign is the best. It's not going to make the product worse.
So let me ask you this question about Tiffany.
Yep.
Are we sucked into the Twitter echo chamber about this? Because
The
the
crowd cheers
only
her.
the only place that Tiffany seems to not have popularity or people are criticizing her reign or people are not happy with it is Twitter or X. Like she's as over as anybody in terms of the crowd. She does the it's Tiffy time and people go crazy. There's signs, there's merchandise, there's she's in Maybelline commercials. Like, are we missing? Is it they have some piece of data in their hip pocket about Tiffany, which is why they have kept her so strong and booked her so good? Because I want to be careful here where are we just this small minority that thinks that she's boring or not? I don't think she's boring. I like Tiffany, but what I'm saying is her title reign has been boring.
Her
And that
title reign is being, it's not
her title
her.
reign has been boring because like the crowd loves her. And I'm thinking, are we like missing something here?
I from totally could be. I'm not trying to get sucked into the Twitter echo chamber. I'm more thinking from they seem bored with her title reign. They seem bored, like the writers. Nia Jax, like come on. So what I'm saying is Jade or someone else would freshen up the show. They obviously don't have any further vision for Tiffany. We're either waiting for Bianca to come beat her or whatever. But the last 5 episodes of SmackDown are some of the lowest rated ever on Cage Match. So there's
Mhm.
that. That's a little bit different from Twitter. Um, I will say this. This is going to sound crazy, and many of you listening may not be old enough to remember this. When WCW's ratings started to crater, they were still very hot in the arena for a while. A lot of the Goldberg stuff, the back half of it, if you go back and watch a clip, you're like, this is the most over man on the planet. You could argue in arena was more over than Steve Austin for part of that time. They were getting drummed in the ratings at that point, though.
Mhm.
And so I think the ratings fall before the in arena uh, fandom comes down. And I'm not predicting a WCW downfall. I'm just saying everybody's hot on WWE right now. The people going to the shows cheer the hell out of everybody.
Yeah. And
I mean,
they also have two of the they have the most over they have Cody Rhodes on that show
yep,
and they have John
yep,
Cena on that show.
right.
So that's unfair too, right? Because they are
They're
such,
drawing,
they're such the rising tide, right? They can raise all the boats. And
right.
so I the thing I don't again, this is a very historically speaking, whether it's Vincent Kennedy McMahon or Triple H, they are stubborn when they like somebody and they want to push somebody, they will push them.
Yep,
Look, again, Tiffany Stratton has been the best booked champion on in that company. Period. End of story. She's booked better than Rhea. She's been booked better than Io. She was booked better than Becky. She was booked better than I don't know Gunther. She was booked better than anybody because she won the title on the first day of the year and has not lost it and has not been pinned. Like she hasn't even lost in a tag match or in some she has been kept super clean. So then my question becomes, are they trying to like break a record for is there like some record they want her to get? Um, you
I
know,
mean the Bianca record's a year, isn't it? Or it's well more than a year.
400 days. But why would you want to take the record away from Bianca for like that doesn't make sense.
It screams to me that they're waiting for Bianca, but I don't even know that Bianca Tiffany is a greatly aligned feud right now.
Well,
I you know
a lot of people are very scared of that feud because they're like, are we sure Bianca's not just being brought back to lose to Tiffany?
so to give Tiffany credit, people probably think I bash her too much. This is exactly what happens when you have a writer's room full of 40-plus-year-old white dudes. Because she has been champion for 8 months and 17 days. She has zero allies. They don't have anyone that they could even, like, if Tiffany got jumped by two people, who'd be her tag partner?
Hmm, it's a
Who?
good question.
She has no that they are just rolling the dice on the crowd loves her, and that's great for her. She said on Logan Paul's podcast, "The crowd loves me. I'm me. The crowd loves me." She is a flat one-dimensional character, though. She has no alliances. Nia Jax is a previous alliance, but think about how layered she was when she won the title. She
Hmm.
was a covert operating heel slash baby face playing Nia, Naomi, Bailey. She was pulling strings. She like there was so many things going on that led to her being over, and now she just
I still, again, Naomi's had one of the all-time great cash-ins. Obviously, Io had a great cash-in. Not Becky, Bailey had a great cash-in. Alexa had a great cash-in. Carmella. But man, I loved Tiffany's cash-in. I'm not saying it's the best. I'm just saying like what you just talked about, how she outsmarted everybody. Like she used the referee, but then she protected Naya, and Naya's thinking, hey, this is my friend. Then she made Naya beat Bianca up, but then hit Naya, ran under the ring, let Bianca beat her, then beat Bianca up, and then won the title. Like she did it in such a great manner.
it was
She was the
fantastic.
puppet master, right?
Yeah.
Now she's just become like an invincible woman. Like, and
They're
and
not even
and the thing is, she doesn't like. Okay, if you were gonna go down the Kurt Angle route with her, where she is just the best in-ring professional wrestler, like no matter how hard you try, this woman can beat you. She's literally like the way up until the Tony Storm match, the way Mercedes was booked in AEW, where she always found a way to win. Like she could small package you for the win, she could roll you up for the win, she could hit you with the statement maker, she can hit you with the the money maker, she can, do an acai move or a roll up, whatever. She can beat you. She's just like the woman of 1,001 holds, and she's always one step ahead of you. If they had Tiffany do that and she got all these wins in these different manners, cool. But what they have basically said is if she hits the prettiest moonsault ever, it's game over. Except Nia
when
kicked
she
out.
hits the prettiest
When
moonsault.
she hits it, it's game over. And then other than Nia kicking it, nobody's kicked out of a moonsault. And like I love moonsaults. Io has a moonsault. Tiffany has a moonsault. Charlotte has a moonsault. Alexa Bliss has a moonsault. That's not the most physically imposing move that you can't kick out of. KOD, I get that. Nobody should kick out of that. I get it. But like Tiffany is beating these physically imposing women with a moonsault, right? And she doesn't have like a setup move. Like I would almost love if Tiffany had like the Lex Luger character, the narcissist, where she had like a plate in her forearm and she knocked you
Right.
out with it, and then it set up the moonsault. Like they, I don't know. Like, look, there's something that they see in Tiffany and they have a plan for because my goodness, she has been booked immaculately. And then I know people say, well, Raja, you complain that baby faces aren't booked strong. And now they give you Tiffany and now you're complaining. And I'm like, I can't complain about who she's beaten and how they've protected her. But what I'm trying to figure out is what's the end game? What is
I
the
so
end game?
I think it's fair to say she's been booked great and written poorly, and that's the problem. She's written poorly. She is the They thinned out the SmackDown roster. They don't have Bianca, and she's the spearhead, and they give her almost no depth of writing. So that's less on her and more on, the lack of, I guess, compelling writing in the show. Okay, so we don't need to touch on SmackDown too much. Ended up bringing up a lot of feelings because we do
Yeah.
want the women to be written better. It's not just about having matches, but it's about like a point of view for the champion. I'd love to see someone who was writing for Tiffany to make sure that she stayed multidimensional as a champion.
Can I ask you a question as a 40-year-old white man?
Yeah.
Are they booking Tiffany that way because she's their dream girl?
I mean, yeah, she you said when Vince and Triple H decide that someone's going to be over, they're doing it hell or high water, and it is no secret that Tiffany matches the exact ideal of what those two men think a championship performer looks like. Uh, she's muscular, she's athletic, good looking woman. You know, there's a reason why everyone said she was the next coming of Charlotte Flair, and Charlotte. Um, Charlotte, most of her championship reigns have been too short, but the couple of times that they really leaned into it, I think she was written much better than Tiffany's currently being written. And uh, they it's just easy. They know if her music hits, she's going to get cheers, and that's kind of all they worry about. There's no one writing about. Usually, when you have like a face a face champion who's dominant, who has no friends, it's that frenzied feel of like I got no one who has my back and everyone's gunning for me. And it doesn't even feel like that. It just feels like she shows up to work and, finds out she's fighting Nia again. Like, you know, they've set up her last couple matches. Jade was set up through Queen of the Ring. Trish was, that was someone who she used to be aligned with. So I don't know. They just haven't come out of Evolution very strong with her.
Yeah, no,
Pivoting. Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
It's gonna pivot to AEW. Um, Dynamite, we got a trios match. Compliment was people have been begging for these all-star trios matches for the women because they do it for the men all the time. Um, Complaint, it was the only, they ended up packing all of the women's stuff into the one segment, which I find annoying. So you had Mercedes, um, Thekla and Sky Blue with Julia Hart there but not part of the match versus Willow, Queen Aminata, and Alex Windsor. Real fun match. Um, we got to see Alex and Mercedes touch before they have their match at Forbidden Door, which is a multi-woman anyway, so they didn't really need to protect that. I saw some really good chemistry there. Mercedes basically goes into these tag matches in AEW and like she did Royal Rumble. If you don't watch AEW, but you remember her at the Royal Rumble in WWE, basically just like I'll just let everyone kick my ass and everyone look good. Um, and then Athena and Toni were in the balcony during the match, and then that led to an after match segment where we got some stuff booked for next week. So, what did you think of that whole part
I
of the show?
2 weeks in a row, I think AEW has done a really good job with the women. I actually really liked the segment. It was very effective. It got the Forbidden Door matches very over. I really want to see Athena versus Toni Storm, and I really want to see Mercedes defend her title in the, I guess, whatever the four-way, but it's the representation of each promotion. Queen Aminata, Sky Blue being part of the match. Alex Windsor, really good because, it gives them a spotlight that they probably aren't going to get because there's Toni Storm, there's Mercedes. They're in this match together. Tony's in the crowd, Mercedes is in the match. Um, I thought it was very effective. I think that what they're doing is they're telling me that in AEW they have two very important women's titles and that while one is called the World Championship and one is called the TBS title, that on TV they look like equal belts to me. And I think that's very important because in WWE, you equate the belt's importance with who holds it.
Right.
If Becky holds the IC title, it's important. If Lyra does, it's not as important because it's Becky, not Lyra. I I hope that Mercedes has done such a phenomenal job of raising the prestige of the TBS title that the person who beats her becomes like it's still a prestigious title. Like there was a time in WWE, and again I'm going back into my history here, where the Intercontinental title would main event one house show and the WWE title would main event the other one. And when Macho Man beat Tito Santana for the title. Look at the lineage of champions after the Macho Man. Steamboat had it for 2 months. Okay, he won. You know, he was having a baby, him and his wife. That's why they took the title off him. They give it to Honky Tonk Man. Honky Tonk Man was white hot as a heel champion. He drew nothing but money because everybody wanted to see this guy get his ass kicked in every city. Warrior beat him. Warrior was super over. Okay, Warrior beats Hogan, drops the title. Mr. Perfect wins. Perfect was over. Kerry Von Erich, back to Perfect. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. No, Bret Hart. Who did he lose the IC title to? Davey Boy Smith, British Bulldog. He lost it to British Bulldog, who lost it to Shawn Michaels. Like, my point is, you need to make sure that whoever is going after each of these titles, they stay as prestigious as Mercedes has made it.
Yeah.
Back to the match. The match itself was a good TV match. Crowd was really vested into it. I love that AEW has finally figured out what we were saying last year, which is stop trying to run 10,000 seat arenas when you're going to sell 2,000 tickets. It doesn't make any sense. Run
Right.
the buildings that it's going to be full, acoustics are going to be loud. It's going to feel like $1 million in there because people are going to be like, wow, this is a hot crowd. And they've done it. I love that they had the balcony stuff. It kind of gave it more of an aura in terms of how they viewed the match. Athena has done a really good job in this role that she's playing, and I think that it set up a tag match that we have on Wednesday, which is Alex Windsor and Toni Storm against the internet dream team of Athena and Mercedes in Scotland.
Yep. So Athena and Mercedes is a pairing I never knew I needed as much as what the way they bounce off each other on TV, I find very enjoyable. I think Mercedes uh, run in AEW, the only thing that I think was really missing last year, and they tried with Camille, and it frankly didn't work. They didn't integrate her into the roster that well last year. She felt like a singular. It almost felt like she was visiting AEW when she wrestled, even into the Chris match. You know what I mean? The Chris match. Um, so I appreciate the work that went into it with Harley Cameron. I think that was really great in getting her feeling like part of this roster. And that continues now with Athena. Um, she's so damn funny, whether she knows it or not. Triangle of Madness did their little triangle hand holding thing, and before the match, and she goes and she breaks into it and turns it into a square, and she's like, "I thought it was a prayer circle," and it was just, she could be a very serious heel when she wants to be, but she's also kind of a funny. She can do a little bit of the Chelsea Green stuff when she feels like it, but um, I am very much looking forward to the tag match. Toni is going to get a nasty tweet or 7 from me if it gets anything less than. I mean, 15 minutes should be the minimum, but I'm hoping for 20. Um, I don't know. I'd presume Toni's the most likely to lose. You can't have Alex Windsor lose. I guess Mercedes could lose. It's Toni or Mercedes are losing. Would you agree? Toni or Mercedes are getting pinned.
No, Tony's gonna lose. Tony's getting
Okay.
Tony's getting pinned because they're gonna keep telling the story that Athena has never lost to Tony, and then Tony's gonna beat her at Forbidden Door.
So Athena's pinning Toni.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm. Now,
Um,
you could have Mercedes pin Tony. That way, after Tony beats Athena, now you have a legitimate reason to do the Tony Mercedes rematch.
what if
Could do
Athena
that.
hits the O face, Alex grabs her and gets her off, and Mercedes like either just snakes a pin or I don't know. I
Now,
think you're right.
you
Athena's
could you
probably
could have Mercedes lose, and somebody pointed this out. Mercedes other than the Tony Storm match, is not a great tag team record in AEW.
She hasn't won one yet.
Yeah.
She
So
hasn't
you
won
can
one yet.
tell that story. To me, Alex Windsor pinning Mercedes here, if you're doing it because you know Alex isn't going to win the TBS title and you want to make sure that Alex gets her like kind of home person pop, go for it. I mean, I think that would make the stakes even higher. At this point, now that I've seen, Mercedes lose 1, 2, 3, I'm not as worried about protecting her and her win-loss record because at this point she's already lost. So I've
Yeah,
seen it, you
so
know.
what if Alex pins her?
Mhm.
Mercedes pins Persephone or the Stardom person on Forbidden Door, and then you have a ready-made, well, Alex one-on-one for Mercedes. Really just depends on what the again, it's one of those things is if we knew where they were trying to get, the booking would seem so simple. Kudos to them. There is a shot Athena beats Toni. I'm not saying I think she does, but they've booked it in a way where it wouldn't be a shocker. And then I would be shocked if Mercedes lost the TBS title in a four-way at Forbidden Door. But I guess if you were gonna, you got to have her get pinned in a one-on-one with as long as she's held that belt. You have to.
Mercedes will keep the belt until she breaks Jade's record, then she'll lose it.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen. So
Athena on Collision last night said she attacked Toni and she said, "This is where the best wrestle. Then why the hell are you champion?" Um, I follow a guy and I forget his handle on Twitter who puts out nuggets of information that makes me believe that he's got some inside info in AEW. He had Toni beating Mercedes 2 months before it happened, and then you heard Meltzer say after that that was planned for a long time. So I do think he knows someone back there. He thinks Athena's winning, but I will say, based on that, if you're gonna have her say this is where the best wrestle, then why the hell are you champion? That means Toni's got to win, in my opinion. Because the only other story of that is Athena beats her, and then you tell a story where Toni chases her and proves herself again. But that would be 4 years of Toni proving herself over and over and over and over and over. I don't see that, right?
yeah, I don't see it, but I mean he could be right. The thing with Tony Storm is again, what is her end game? Because like that's why I thought the title should have been flipped with Mercedes because now you have a fresh group of people to chase her. After Tony beats Athena, let's say Tony does beat Athena, who's left?
You
Now,
got to run.
you
Yeah.
got is Dakota Kai coming in? I mean, is that
Chris Statlander is being elevated in these backstage segments with Mox. She won the four-way last night for the 100K, and her alignment would work against Toni, especially, she's tweener-ish. We kind of don't know, frankly. So, I mean, I could see that. My thing with Toni, she ain't going to main event a show with Chris. And I don't think the Athena match is main eventing. I think Hangman MGF is obviously main eventing. I really believe Toni should be the first woman to main event a pay-per-view in AEW. And I get why Mercedes and her didn't main event. All In was a big show, and the story they told with Hangman and Mox, I get it that it kind of had to main event. But you're telling me I still think that Toni should main event All Out or the show after that or something.
yeah, take
You
my
know,
Edge and Christian thing off the board because if they're already teaming up, then I don't see the point. Like my only thing for them in Toronto was okay, this is the first time they're going to team up in whatever years you do it in their hometown, but you're already doing it at Forbidden Door and you're not doing
so
it
it's not a.
PR. I wouldn't main event them at this point.
It's a
Like,
great opening match at that point.
yeah, it's not that. I really enjoyed the AEW's women's division recently. Like I think they've done a really, really good job. Um, I'm not gonna sit here and say I didn't love Monday Night Raw, a show that was basically built around EO, which I never thought
Right.
in my wildest dreams that this would ever happen. So the fact that Io had four stories going on at the same time on a show, and she had multiple backstage segments, and her and Roxanne had a fantastic match. Um, like I think women's wrestling is really, really strong right now, except for on SmackDown, and I don't really blame the women. I blame the position that because I think that show as a whole is stale. I don't think it's just, oh, the
100%.
women are the,
It's poorly written. The whole thing is
because like
poorly
I,
written.
I was I mean I tweeted it like I was getting ready to take off, and I was like, oh, she's like, hey, you got to meet me, and I was like, okay, and I'm getting ready to leave, and I was like, Solo Sikoa's opening SmackDown. Like what? Like Solo Sikoa is opening SmackDown with his, and like I remember, I go to you, I said, hey, the MFT is opening SmackDown. You're like, what the hell's the MFT? And I'm like, that's his name. Like that's the name of his group, the MFT, My Family Tree. And you're like, you're joking. I'm like, no, like that's actually the name. It's not, I'm not making it up.
It sounds like a 1982 PBS kids show.
Yeah, it sounds, it's really bad. Like I think the tag division had the phenomenal ladder match, but like it's like, okay, where do you go from here? Because the Wyatts have the belts, and I think that also derailed that whole thing. Like honestly, Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair are the only reason I should watch SmackDown at this point.
Yeah. But you were saying you kind of started down that route. You were saying the world building that has been going into the AEW women's division has been
Mhm.
very good.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I'm a huge fan of Alex Windsor. I'm a fan. I want to see Alex Windsor. I don't want to see her beat Mercedes per se, but I like her being in the top mix in AEW. Like hypothetically, if Athena did beat Tony Storm, Alex Windsor should be the first challenger, maybe. She
yeah,
builds back up to get there. I actually like what AEW is doing with the women. I think Dynamite's been a really good show recently. I think Collision has gotten much better. I think the women's stuff has more teeth to it and it's more layered, and I think that they're featuring more women. And I even look, it's a small thing, but I loved it. Marina Shafir was on Ring of Honor, and John Moxley escorted her to the ring. I
yeah,
think stuff like that makes it a bigger deal, right? Because you have the highest paid person in the company who has been on screen character with this person, but it's like, hey, not only does she always support me, I'm going to support her. And I thought that was
yeah.
good.
No, it is. And so last night on Collision, just to kind of wrap up the week in AEW, after the four-way match, we kind of had a bunch of women's storylines collide. And if they're not selling us a women's plunder match, which presumably is blood and guts, I don't know what they're doing. Because you got, Chris and got a little bit of, I think, Triangle of Madness involved out there. You've got uh, Harley Cameron getting involved. You got Megan Bain and Penelope. I mean, you have what is adding up to 8 to 10 women all simultaneously beefing with each other. And frankly, it seems like it could involve everyone in the division except for the four that are in the tag match. Mercedes, Toni, Athena, Alex are the only ones not currently crossing over into this kind of mix. It also is, I think, a setup for eventually these tag belts that we're getting.
Mhm.
Um, I do wish the Forbidden Door card is long. There's a lot of matches. We still only have the two matches, and you got people like Willow and Chris not on the card. But I do think Toni, we need these women's tag belts out there because Toni will book pay per view matches for those belts when they exist.
I
And we
agree.
should get 3 women's matches per show. He ain't
The,
shy about putting 11 matches out
the
there.
one thing I
So,
like about Tony Khan is every single title, he makes sure it gets defended. There is no stagnant story with any of his belts. All his belts always have somebody challenging for it on shows. And I
yeah.
think that's a very positive step. So before we get to our top five, there are two topics that I want to quickly touch on. So, and they kind of intertwine with each other. So, there's two stories that's out in the media. You can research it, read it, Google it, etc. Number one, it's this WWE has this plan to use TNA as kind of a blocking piece of AEW so AEW cannot get its next TV deal because AEW has its TV rights locked in till 2027, and what they want to do is use TNA. There's there's a couple of different stories. One is WWE already has a price that they could buy TNA at, and they have a certain amount of time to say yes or no. So let's play this thing forward. They buy TNA. Okay, now they go to Peacock and they say, look, in 2026, you're going to lose um, your PLE rights, and you're possibly going to lose the archive because the archive is going to go to ESPN, the new ESPN app, but we'll give you TNA and NXT. Or we'll give you TNA and you'll get all the TNA PLEs, etc. Like, okay, so Peacock buys it. So now they have something on Wednesdays to go after Dynamite. They already have all these other things they've done to block AEW, hoping that in 2027 AEW doesn't have a renewal of a TV deal, because without a TV deal, AEW, no matter how much money Tony and his father have, and they have a lot of money, they're not going to keep pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into something that doesn't make money, right? Like the end game for AEW was, I'm going to put up my money now until I get the big TV deal, then I'll be profitable, and he already is. So the TV deal is already, he's already made his money. But if they don't have a TV deal in 2027 or a streaming deal, they're SOL. um, what I want to say, and I'll let you talk about it, and then I have another story to get your thoughts on, is that this is why, for all of us wrestling fans, we have to support AEW, Stardom, New Japan, CMLL, these independents that Mercedes goes to,
Rev
the
Pro, Metroplex. Yep.
the Poland wrestling, Rev Pro, etc. Because as wrestling fans, I take the tribalism. Just let's look at this as wrestling fans. Do we remember how crappy wrestling was when WWE didn't have somebody fighting them? Like, do we like if you go back and look at 2003 WWE, it might have had the best roster in the history of professional wrestling. On one roster, they had Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Brock Lesnar, Eddie Guerrero, Edge, Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, Rick
Kurt
Flair,
Angle.
Kurt Angle. On one roster, they had all these people. Trish Stratus, Lita, the Hardy Boys. And we got one of the worst products because there was no competition. Coke would never try as hard if there wasn't a Pepsi. CVS would never care as much if there wasn't a Walgreens. Like, you need competition. And competition makes the environment better, but it also makes sure the wrestlers get paid more. Because this is why I believe there are legitimate stories to the WWE trying to do this. Is it's not because they don't want TNA to exist, or sorry, AEW to exist. I think they want it not to exist so they don't have to pay their talent as much. Because this historically is a company now, TK owns, UFC owns WWE, that wants to make $10 billion in TV rights and pay their wrestlers a fraction of what they should. Because there is no working union and there is nobody fighting on behalf of the competitors. It's independent contractor. They can underpay everybody. They could underpay Rhea Roman Reigns. They could underpay Rhea Ripley. They could underpay IYO. Because if this was a union agreement, IYO is probably making three times what she makes. Rhea's probably making three times what she makes. Roman's probably making twice. Like,
Yep.
to me, this is why you need to support AEW. You need to make sure AEW is not only successful, but they're thriving. And honestly, I would be okay in a world where AEW, for even if it's 2 years, overtakes WWE as the number one wrestling promotion in the world because it would make the marketplace better. WCW made the marketplace better. Say whatever you want about Eric Bischoff, say whatever you want about Hulk Hogan and Creative Control. When WCW was as hot as it was, it changed wrestling for the better, and that's why you should support AEW. Um, and CMLL cannot, under any circumstances, even think about selling their company to WWE. CMLL right now, Meltzer said it, and he could be right. I haven't researched it myself. This year, if everything plays out, CMLL will sell more tickets for live attendance than WWE. They are selling 24,000 to 30,000 tickets a week for all their shows. WWE is not doing that. So, when you have outside promotions as hot as they are, you need them to be as hot as they are, so WWE has to pay its talent more. That's my thoughts. And then I'll get to the other story.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you kind of said it all, but I don't think WWE cares about ratings in the streaming world now. I don't think they care at all. This is 100%. It's a TKO move that TKO did with, Strike Force, all that stuff. They want to negotiate against nobody when they re-sign talent. And they're annoyed that their talent has a other $1 million, $1 billion, other place that they could get multi-million dollar deals, and that they have to negotiate with anyone. So that's why they're going to try to push AEW out. Um, if there was true revenue sharing, even half of what other sports get, you're right, they would all be paid well more, because I think it's between 11 and 15%, and it's only up to 15% because of AEW. Because I'm pretty sure pre AEW it was like 7 or 8% of revenue was going to
Right.
wrestlers. It's closer to 15 now
Yeah.
because of AEW. WWE ain't paying more out of the goodness of their heart, that's for sure. Um, but major sporting companies, it's, with unions, it's between 45 and 50% usually. So it's 100% the move WWE is going for. And until they get rid of AEW, you're already hearing stories. If you're a star, they expect you to resign 6 months early so that they don't have the headache of true free agency. And if you're not a star, they're going to do like what they presumably did with Karrion Kross. They're going to give you an offer in the last week and say, take it or leave it. That's the story that's out there right now. Who really knows? They didn't even offer Scarlett a deal. That's the story that's out there right now. It's not unbelievable to think that WWE would operate that way. That's why I buy that story. Hey,
It's
this is
not
what
only
you're
not,
offering. It's not a negotiation.
it's not only not unbelievable, this is the history. I mean, again, I know we're not talking, it's not a boxing podcast, but I know, you're not a Floyd Mayweather fan like you wanted to see him lose, right?
Yeah.
There was one interview he cut that I wish he went through with. There was a time where he was in a huge back and forth with Dana White. And he goes, Dana, what if I actually teach your fighters about how to get revenue and how to make more money? Because how you underpay them. I was like, you know what, Floyd? You might be a baby face after all. Like if you actually did that.
So before you get, because we got to get to your topic real quick on that. Anyone listening to this feels like the UFC is bigger than boxing. Boxing has never been colder than it is right now in American history.
Mm-hmm.
Boxing used to be the sport,
Mm-hmm.
the number one drawing sport on a Saturday night with a heavyweight title fight. Nothing got more eyes than boxing. Boxers still get paid more than UFC fighters, by the way. Like the money Manny Pacquiao made at 47, 48 years old, thought he won that fight, by the way, um, is, and then Barrios, the guy who he fought, which is, he's not a household name, but he is a champion. He made more money than most UFC fighters do, easily.
I mean, look at Canelo Crawford. They're going to make hundreds of millions, like both of them
Yeah.
going through net. But who runs that promotion? TKO.
But
They're, you know,
but the structure was in place because of people like Muhammad Ali and
mm,
Mike Tyson and Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather, people
Yeah.
who continue
Bernard
to
Hopkins, yeah.
Bernard. Yep. What's
The-
your other?
Okay. Um, Mercedes was on the Mark Out podcast that MVP hosts, and she was asked an innocent question. Hey, what do you think? What are the differences between the WWE locker room and the AEW locker room? And then he's like, well, wait, you have your own locker room. Laugh, move on. Thought it was, everybody knew that. It wasn't like it was breaking news. Everybody knew Mercedes had her own locker room. And then it like ballooned into this story. Natty, what do you think? Oh, well, a Nikki Bella could have had her own locker room, but she wanted to dress with the girls. And, Rhea Ripley is a big enough, so she get, but, Becky, like, oh, but Alexa has it, but oh, she has a kid, so that's different. Like, I don't know if this is even a story, but I guess where I'm going with this is you get what you negotiate. And we should not judge anybody for wanting to get as much as they can get in this profession.
I've
And
never heard anyone say Roman doesn't want to be one of the boys because he has his own locker room.
Hulk Hogan had his own locker room in the 80s. The Ultimate Warrior had his own locker room. Macho Man Savage had his own locker room. The Horsemen had their own locker room. Like everybody has, their own locker room. And what ended up happening is if you think about this whole story, it's only a story because A, it's Mercedes, and B, it's a woman, and three, it's a black woman. Like to me, these are non-stories. Because Hulk Hogan had his own locker room in 1986, nobody cared.
Yeah,
Like nobody cared. Like I never heard this being a thing. You know, I, so I don't even know if this is a story. I think it was made more of a story because they asked a current woman on the WWE roster what her thoughts were, and she kind of answered it, in my opinion, incorrectly. Like she made
I
it
hated her
like a
answer.
story, and then he kept poking her, and she kept adding to it. But I think it's a non-story, but I wanted to touch on it because it is something that our listeners probably wanted to hear our opinion on. But my opinion is Mercedes has her reasons for wanting her own locker room. The same way Charlotte wanted a bus, the same way, Alexa wants a bus and Becky got a bus and private flights.
Yep.
Everybody negotiates what they can negotiate. More power to them. I don't really care.
Yeah, I if you've seen Mercedes lives, some of them have been on subscriber content, some of them are on she's gone on TikTok live. It's a granite room with one desk is her locker room. It's a meeting room. The private buses that WWE stars have are like luxury buses, right? Mercedes just has her own space basically to lay out her crystals. And to your point, whatever she's been able to negotiate, like top stars get top treatment. I hated Natty's answer. This idea that, oh, Nikki Bella chose to be with the, and Mercedes chooses not to. I don't think she was trying to be controversial. Natty just kind of says the wrong thing. I think she gave away more on the Trinity thing than she intended to. She just kind of just says the wrong thing sometimes. So it's a non-event. I agree. We've known the whole time that she negotiated her own locker room, but all those AEW women have said that she's been a big part of the growth in that division over the last 18 months. I think that matters more than anything for like where someone gets dressed, don't you?
My whole thing with this story is it's a non-story and men have had their own locker room for years and a woman gets one and it becomes a story. And then I think like you said, Natty saying, well, Nikki Bella could, but she didn't want one. And this
Right.
person, it's like, oh, and it's like, I, because what did Mercedes say right after that? I've never loved this locker room more. Like this is like we're all in it together. We're underground, we're punk rock, we're early stages of hip hop. We feel like the underdog. So it's like that stuff was just glossed over, but then it goes back to the locker room. And how do we not know that she getting her own locker room, other women aren't allowed to go into her locker room after she does her crystals or whatever? I mean, I used to be in the music promotion business, and when you promote a concert, artists have wild writers. And
Yeah.
I know artists who would put in their writer, they want a separate dressing room from their own band members. It is what it is.
Yep.
It is what it is. The famous one is Hall and Oates when because they don't like each other, but they would make all this money on tour. They would have it in their writer that they have to be on opposite sides of the buildings, and they would literally only see each other on stage and leave. They just didn't like each other. My point is, we don't know why she negotiated it. We should not make a big deal out of it. It is a non-story. There's nothing in anything that people have said about her in the locker room other than that she's been a great um, ally for the women. She's helped women. She's wanted to grow it. So we should focus on the positive and not focus on the negative. But
I
uh,
agree.
speaking of positive, so I put it out there to our listeners, hey, at the end of each show, we should do a top five list and let's just throw out some random topics. So for the first week, the topic that was chosen was top five women's stipulation matches in our history and the matches we pick to rank in our top five. So that's the one that most people wanted. There were some other really good selections for number two, number three, but this was overwhelmingly the one that got the most votes. So if you want to start, go ahead. Top five women's stipulation matches. If you want to go in reverse order, go ahead.
Yep. So I landed on about 8 to 10 matches that I, started with bigger than that, and then I got to 10 that I had trouble getting in the right order, and then ultimately landed on my top five. I am gonna say I did. Some people may see this as cheating. Um, I am ranking these as stipulation matches. So I very much considered how important the stipulation was to my enjoyment and feeling of the match. So that being said, um, if you just ask me to rank the best matches in history, I may have some of these in a different order than what I landed on. But for this list, I really took into account how well the women used the stipulation for the match. That makes sense. So number five, I have the TLC ladder match, the TLC match with Asuka, Becky, and Charlotte. I rewatched this Friday night to make sure that it's as good as I remember. I probably had it seven or eight on the original list I penciled out from my memory. And I watched that match and went top five. I can't not have this in the top five. Really, really good. And I think holds up better than most of the Becky Charlotte matches, their singles stuff. Uh, except for the one Survivor Series one, which didn't have a stip. So, but this match was incredible. Really, really enjoy that match. Number four, um, not my personal cup of tea, but I felt like historical significance and what it's done for a company with less history and kind of what went into it and everything. And um, I'm not a big blood guy, but Toni and Mariah, Toni Storm versus Mariah, Hollywood ending. I felt like I would be remiss because I think that that was a very pivotal match. Um, I think it really cemented Toni as the woman, you know, and where if she doesn't have that match, it'd be almost shocking that she beat Mercedes at All In, but it helped put her up on a platform where we were arguing that Mercedes Toni could have been a main event match. So I had that at number 4. Here's where the list actually gets controversial. I have this match I'm about to say ranked ahead of all these other matches as a match. But from the stipulation standpoint, I ranked it number 3 because I don't think the stipulation is really why I love the match. I have number 3, Sasha Banks versus Bayley at Hell in the Cell 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I love that match. It is a top 3 Mercedes Sasha Banks match of all time for me. The cage had almost nothing to do with why I love that match. Like, it just so happened to be in the cage. Um, the story is incredible. It had the right winner, all those things. But the Hell in the Cell part of it is just it's a low end factor. Um, Number 2, I have Willow Nightingale versus Chris Statlander, Chicago Street Fight. I rewatched this match, and I think I was in a bad mood because of how the Sheeta Mercedes match went and how it had the weird last 2 minutes when this one was live. This is probably the third or fourth time I've watched it, but I'm very confident that I like this match better than Toni and Mariah for the best AEW women's stip match ever. Um, I thought that both women did an amazing job. The weapons part of the match mattered. As it's pretty brutal, so fun seems like a bad word, but they actually made it feel like a fun match. Um, and I think it's highly rewatchable. And my number 1 stipulation match of all time is Sasha Banks versus Becky Hell in the Cell 2019. I rewatched the Bayley match and the Becky match back to back. I wish the Bayley match had a crowd, but Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks did more cool spots in that cell. More things that if you showed a 3-second clip on Twitter, people would be like, "Holy crap." Um, the running ladder spot, the table spot with the Meteora. There's just a plethora of amazing spots. This was a true Hell in the Cell match. They could not have done this match without the Cell. The Cell was a participant in the match, and so it's my favorite women's stipulation match ever.
Okay, so I have my list on this whiteboard that I'm going to show the camera. And I am prefacing this that we did not even tell each other what our list is. And what's
Not
funny
at all.
is we have 3 of the same 5 matches in the exact same spot that they were. But then we have 2 completely different matches. So let me start with, so this is the whiteboard, but I'm going to turn it around for everybody. This is my list. Okay. Now let me go over the list. So I had a criteria that I wrote down, which is I had rewatchability, storyline investment, crowd participation, in-ring story work. Okay. So I had 7 matches that I had to pick 5. My number 7 match is Asuka versus Becky versus Charlotte, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs main event. The only reason that did not make my list is the Ronda Rousey interference. I thought that Ronda came out and basically helped Asuka win the title. I think it took away from how great Asuka was. I don't think Asuka needed anybody's help to beat both of those women who she has beaten clean
Plenty, yeah.
plenty of times to do that. So that was my one knock on that match. You take Ronda out of it, it could have been number 2 on my list. because as a match, it's as good as any match that's ever had a women's stipulation match. Number six, this is where we have a huge disagreement. My honorable mention is Willow versus Chris, the Chicago Street Fight. And the only reason it wasn't higher on my list is I was not invested in either character as much, but the match was phenomenal. Okay,
Yep.
so now let's get to my list. Number five, Becky Lynch versus Tiffany Stratton, Extreme Rules. I thought this match was as good a match as you're gonna get out of Tiffany, and I thought this was Becky at her best, using the crowd. It was a main event of an NXT PLE. The women felt like the biggest thing on the show, and I thought this was a star-making performance for Tiffany Stratton. I thought this was the match that really put her on the map as a hey, I'm a player. And
It's a
I
great
thought
match.
and I thought Becky did a great job in making sure that she got over even in a loss. Number four, exactly where you had it. Toni Storm, Mariah May, Hollywood ending. Like you, I was very invested in the story, but on a rewatchable scale, the blood and the theatrics take away from just a tactical wrestling match. So I had it as four, but because of his historical significance, it's on my list. I think if it main evented, it would have been higher. I think
Same.
if Mariah had stayed in the company, maybe it goes even lower because now that match doesn't have the finality to it that it did.
Yep.
Number three, exactly where you had it. Funny enough, because I, going into making this list, I thought you would have had Sasha Bailey number one.
And I have it ranked higher as a match.
I have Sasha Bailey as the number three women's stipulation match of all time for a couple of different reasons why it isn't number one. Number one, no crowd. That has to factor
It
into a
hurts.
match. Number two, there were points where it felt very choreographed and it was too much delaying, but it's a
The kendo stick deal.
yeah, it's a nitpick, but those are the two things on why I would put it number three. Number two, this is a complete left field selection. I don't know if you saw it on my sheet,
I
but
did.
2019 War Games NXT.
That's the Dakota turn, right?
Dakota Kai turned Rhea Ripley, Candice, Tegan, Dakota versus Bianca, Shayna, Io, KLR. This is the Rhea Ripley star making match. This is the match that made Rhea Ripley a star. Now they tapered her off on the main roster for a bit, but as a oh, this is the next one. I thought in this match Bianca was super over, Io was super over, Rhea was super over. Shayna was a nasty heel champion. And I thought this was the peak of the NXT women's division in that era, on the black and gold era. This match was phenomenal. And oh, by the way, you had one of the best heel turns of all time in Dakota Kai. Nobody saw that one coming, right? Like if you go back and watch that match, when Dakota kicked Tegan's head off, the crowd reaction was insane. Chicago, one of the best wrestling crowds ever. That was great. I love this match. And number one, just like you, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, Hell in a Cell 2019. I watched this match back, and I think the thing that really struck a chord with me and a nerve also is how this match, on a scale I don't really care for, got 4 out of 5. I have
Crazy.
no earthly idea how this match, anybody with two functioning eyeballs and knows anything about wrestling could say this match is anything less than a 5. This was a perfect Hell in a Cell match. You can argue about the winner, and I have said if Sasha Banks beat Becky Lynch at Night of Champions, won the belt, lost at Hell in a Cell, and the story is Sasha wins but cannot defend. You now continue until next year when she finally beats Bayley and then defends. It's a perfect story. My thing is, this match was so great. And they did so much creativity and innovative spots that I have never seen men do in a Hell in a Cell.
Better than most men, but
The
pretty much.
ladder,
Yeah.
the knees to the ladder, the leg drop on the chair, the table, the meteora to the table. Yes, Becky assisted a little bit with the jump, but like the way they used the kendo sticks, the way they used the chairs, the way they used even the cage lowering, the callback to Charlotte Sasha, where Charlotte got the drop on Sasha, and Sasha was like, "That's why I lost that match." She's like, "Well, I'm going to get the drop on Becky because Becky's never been in Hell in a Cell. I have. I'm going to outsmart her." This match was, in my opinion, the two biggest women's stars at almost the peak of their powers, having as good a match as they're gonna have. And honestly, to me, this match to me should have main evented not only that show, this match should have main evented WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Like, I want to live in a world where I take this exact match and I put it in the main event of WrestleMania. Because to
It should
me,
have.
this match
Yeah.
was phenomenal.
It
That's it. Yeah.
it should have main evented that show if the rating system that people seem to care about gave it its just due. Um, and we're just here to say who cares about that guy's rating system? This is a 5-star match. The only nitpick is if you feel like, like people say, oh, she jumped to assist for the table. The men's TLC match at SummerSlam just now, when they did the flip onto the tables, I mean, they were holding on to each other and inching over to get into the right spot for the flip, and no one ever brings that stuff up. I mean, you have to do, you got to do the dance a little bit
That
sometimes,
the
but
crowd for this match was so hot, and they had two different "This is awesome" chants. Let's go
yep,
Sasha, let's go Becky. Um, Honestly, I hate to give the devil their due, man, but I thought Lawler was great in this commentary for this match. I thought he was
it
really good. Like he wasn't talking about puppies and how hot the women were. He was just like, I talked to Sasha Banks earlier in the day, and she told me the only thing that makes her mad is she can't sit in the crowd and watch herself wrestle because that's how great she thinks she is. I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. Like, that's
such a good line.
exactly how delusional heel Sasha Banks is. That
Yeah,
she would want to sit in the audience and watch her. Like I said, this is the best match, and I could make a real case this is the best match of either women's career.
you could make the argument. It certainly is. That's funny. We didn't discuss this at all. We didn't even give rough rankings like, hey, what about this match?
No,
What about that match? I think two big omissions that mostly just show where women's wrestling is gone. Um, by the way, I had the Tiffany Becky match sixth. I didn't have the
War
War
Games.
Games match rate. I had it closer to the back end of 10, just because I generally like a one-on-one or a three woman, and that's 10 people matches. For the men, I don't rank them as highly either, but it is very important because it did make Rhea a star. You're absolutely right. The two omissions that I think we've just grown from are, you've got obviously Charlotte, Becky, last woman standing. I don't think that match holds up as well. I rewatched it.
Yeah.
Besides a great Evolution crowd, it's actually not that good. They've done better a lot of times. And number two, um, it's not a violent stipulation, but it's a stipulation, is Bayley versus Sasha Banks respect. It's a 2 out of 3 falls, and I
Well, that's an Iron Woman match, and that's most
that's
falls
what I meant.
minutes, right?
Yep, sorry. Yep, that's what I meant. Iron Woman match. Not 2 out of 3 falls. That just ended up being what it ended up being. Iron Woman match. I rewatched it, and I've said this when ranking Mercedes all-time matches. respect isn't even a top 10 match for her anymore. And at a time when you could say that it was number 2 or 3 on the list was a good argument. And her blue hair era has several that blew it away. And she's crushing it on her Mercedes Moné run. So,
Okay, so there are three historically significant matches that we didn't mention, either of us. You just mentioned two, I'll mention the third. Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, last woman standing, or
falls count anywhere.
falls count anywhere, Charlotte, North Carolina, main evented Raw. The show was built around these two women. They drew a monster rating against a Green Bay Packers Philadelphia Eagles game on Monday Night Football. So, from a historical significance standpoint, that match has a place. My thing is both Charlotte and Sasha, especially Sasha, have just are just better workers now. So when I
Yeah.
went back and I watched the match, it's still a good match, like it's still an excellent match, but it's just been surpassed. And
Yeah.
the Iron Woman match, you take the Izzy stuff out of that match, and honestly, for me, it's a good match. It's a really good match. I don't like the Iron Man or Iron Woman concept. I never have because I know it's gonna be 1-1 or 2-2 or 3-3, and in the last 30 seconds, the winner's gonna win. I hate that I already know the outcome.
If, yeah, if anyone's mad about the Sasha Charlotte match not making it, I will say that's probably still the best all time women's stip match with the least amount of plunder. Like they didn't rely on, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of weapons. I mean, kendo sticks, right?
Candlestick. Yeah.
No tables, no ladders. They mostly wrestled.
No,
And
I,
that's
I thought the best part of that match is the ending. She used the guardrail for the bank statement.
totally,
I thought that was one of the
totally.
all-time great finishes. But like you said it, both like Mercedes, like Charlotte Becky. I am on an island onto my own self on this match. I never liked the match when it happened. I have been very steadfast that it is maybe the most overrated women's match that people hold in this high regard of all time.
Yep.
It's a slow, prodding, boring match that two by the way, Becky was working as the heel. She was getting cheered out of the building. Charlotte was working as Vegas. She was getting booed. It didn't even work on that level. And
Right.
I thought they tried too hard. Like to me, I thought that was like, okay, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna try and get 5 stars from Meltzer. So we're gonna do everything he likes in a match. And that's
Yep.
another reason I did not rate Britt and Thunder Rosa on my list either. Because
I rewatched it. It's not even top 10.
yeah,
It's
like I just didn't feel like I don't love things that are so pre-planned, but like for me with Becky Charlotte, I just think they're both much better workers today. Becky specifically, they're more crisp. I thought their Survivor Series match blew that last whatever it's called, women's standing match or false count anywhere match out of the water. I just don't like that match. I thought it was 27 minutes too long. Um, I thought
yeah.
the ladder spot was too contrived. I just I don't really love that match, and I don't think it would even make my top 10. I would have probably had a Gail Kim, Awesome Kong street fight over it. So, but yeah,
I
that's our
wrote it down and never put a number next to it. Just I wrote it down like, hey, this is perception, and then I never because I really ranked the 8.
so
Pretty aligned, pretty good. What
pretty
I'd
aligned.
love
Yeah,
for
I think Tiffany Becky, it all depends on, what you were looking for. I think like I like Tiffany Becky more as a street fight, falls count anywhere, extreme rules match. Now looking at it, then I like Charlotte Sasha, but the Charlotte Sasha match had such a historical significance from the ratings, from the outside. So if you were to say, well, I like that better, I'm okay with that because I think history will say Charlotte Sasha was a more important falls count anywhere match than Becky Tiffany is. But I just like the match better. And
yeah.
so next week, we'll come back with another top five. Now, people, if you were to look if I were to look at the poll, there's three that are kind of neck and neck. One is top five women's promos. Number two is top five women's wrestling gears, like their attire. And number three is entrance themes. Top five women's entrance themes. Now, another suggestion is top five women's video packages setting up a match. And I'm like, are there even five good ones? Because they hardly ever put time into the women like that.
I got three off the top of my head. So
Okay, you got Sasha Bailey Brooklyn, Sasha Bianca, Mercedes Tony.
and Mercedes Jamie was really good too. I don't think it was top five, but those are four. That's because it's recent that one was good. But yeah, the first three you named are my three.
Yeah. So to me, I would love to do that topic if we had a lot to choose from. But I think top five promo is probably the one that's going to end up. We'll ask again to all of our listeners. Thank
Let
you
us know.
for
Yeah, everyone,
listening.
let us know.
Um, but yeah, I think we've come to the end of this week, and we will be back next week. Now, when does Forbidden Door happen? Saturday or Sunday?
Sun. I don't know.
Is it if it's August 24th? Is it August 24th?
That's what I thought. It is. Now my phone's on. 24th, Sunday.
My sister's birthday, so it is Sunday. So we will be recording pre-Forbidden Door. But depending on how our schedules line up, there is a chance we watch Forbidden Door and do a review after. So we'll figure that out next week. But Forbidden Door is coming, and then Clash in Paris is the following week. And obviously next week we will lead our show with what happens with Naomi because that's a
Yep.
big
We'll
story.
actually
That's
know.
probably the biggest
Yep.
story in women's wrestling right now. So again, listeners are going up exponentially. Thank you so much. Apple Podcasts has really helped that. So thank you all. Thank you all for at a high listen through rate, even though we have ads now. It is helping our audience grow. So thank you for that. But we'll be back next week with another jam-packed episode and another top five list. And like I said, we will ask you again. But right now, top five women's promos are leading the pack, meaning the five best women at cutting a promo all time. So
All
on
right.
that note, talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.